So it's Thursday, the second day of the annual meetings of the African Export-Import Bank in Abuja, Nigeria's political capital. Hello, everyone. Let's get today started with a whole raft of what we've got this morning, already in session as I speak. Of course, the whole conversation today is split around the Africa's $3.4 trillion market trade potential and how to unlock more capital to support this trading in Africa. Much of what you see and hearing on the ground this morning here are the annual meetings is around energy and infrastructure and how to strengthen multilateral institutions base to support further lending and support that's needed across the various sectors on the continent. So this morning we've heard from key officials of some of the multilateral agencies and experts in that field. Yesterday, remember, we talked about how to unlock more capital, which African Bank, Dennis Nair, Senior Vice President, spoke about the flotation of bonds in local currencies in Nigeria, for French-speaking West Africa and the rest of the continent. What's been done around the rand in South Africa, of course, tapping also overseas bonds such as the Panda bond in Japan. So this diversification of funding will help Africa to achieve this $3.4 trillion trade potential. That's one conversation. Then later in the day, what are we expecting to get? A conversation with iconic ambassador of the African Bank, Nigeria's former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, will be having a fireside chat, and he will be speaking to a very important point: Africa's renaissance in an era of global turmoil. This is quite important when you look at the geopolitics, the Middle East crisis, the crisis in Russia and Ukraine, the whole saber rattling in Southeast Asia between China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. All of this coming to play as we consider the renaissance of Africa. And no one better to speak to this than Nigeria's former president, who's been at the forefront of the African Union over several decades. So that is what we'll be listening to later in the day. Then, of course, how to power Africa's development using our own capital. And I just mentioned a bit of that. We're going to hear more in the afternoon, a little bit towards the early afternoon today, around midday, from some of the central bankers on the continent. The governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe will be speaking. Also, the central bank governor from the island of Barbados in the Caribbean will also be bringing experiences in. Remember, African Bank touched down in Barbados around 2022, and that relationship has since expanded with the CARICOM, section of the CARICOM. So you also have the head of CARICOM here at the Abuja Summit also speaking. Also expect today the head of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Gatete, the executive secretary, will also be making a very thematic presentation, which will also be discussed with some members of the panel. So we've got a whole lot today to cover. So as you focus on and you go to www.frontierafricareport.com, you go to our live streaming, and you can follow up some of these panel and thematic conversations and fireside chat that will be headlining the second day of the African Bank 2025 32nd annual meetings in Abuja. Reporting all this week onto the weekend from here, I am Bosin Omofaye for Frontier Africa Reports.